For the Glory is proudly powered by Mullaney Dairies.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of For the Glory, an athlete empowerment production series brought to you proudly by the Wattle Nest. My name is Rachel Condos Fields and I'm excited to introduce you to another great Australian sporting talent as we share her story, celebrate her success and embrace the power of sport as a true connector in our community. Joining me behind the desk in studio again is Australian track and field athlete and For the Glory co-host Nana Awasu. Welcome back.
No, thank you for having me, Rachel. One of my closest friends we are talking to next, and I've heard her story and I'm so excited for the world to hear her story as well.
I'm sure we're in for lots of laughs as we welcome one of Australia's finest all-rounders, Ella Connolly. Welcome to the show, Ella.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on, Ella. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a bit nervous to interview one of my closest friends, but I know you come from a very sporty background and your brothers are both elite athletes, but how did your athletics journey start?
So I actually got into athletics through the schools program. I guess I just started running in PE classes and then I went to districts, regionals, states, nationals, and I guess I kind of fell in love with running from there. I played many sports growing up. I played touch football, I played netball, but yeah, my passion lay in athletics.
Ella, I know your athletics journey hasn't always been smooth sailing and you've had many injuries, but you've had a stellar season over the past 12 months. Can you tell me how you mentally coped with that?
Yeah, so I had a couple years of just being injured and off the track, and I guess as an athlete you train so hard to compete at the end of the day. So not having the opportunity to compete and missing out on some major championships was quite heartbreaking for me, but I'm glad to overcome those injuries and be back competing on at both domestic and international level.
Well, I'm personally glad that Ella kept going because she is the recent Australian national champion in the 100 and 200 metres. Can you tell us how you felt when you crossed the line and, all your hard work had paid off?
Yeah, I guess a bit of relief and also a bit of excitement as well. I was coming from the 400, transitioning to the 1 and 2, so I didn't really have any expectations going into the season. But yeah, I'm really grateful. I've got a great support network down in here on the coast, and they were able to help me get the job done.
Ella, at just 21 years of age, you are definitely the best all-rounder sprinter Australia has seen in almost 2 decades. That is a pretty big call. And I know that through your love of sport, you and Nana have become really good mates and you can see the chemistry here in the studio. But how important are those connections you do make through sport?
Oh, look, I think the reason to do the sport, so through athletics, I've, like you just said, have met some of my best friends, including Nana. And I'm really grateful to have those friends. They're there to celebrate the good times and they're also there to get you through those tough times like injuries we spoke through earlier. So I'm so grateful, for my friends that I made both through the sport and grateful for the time I spend with them both on and off the track.
And I know that Nana talked a little bit about your journey through injury and recovery. And for many Australian athletes, COVID played a disruptive role towards progression and mindset. How did you overcome some of those challenges with the disruption and changes to competition tournaments?
Yeah, so I was injured in the year that the Olympics were on, and I was so inspired by my friends competing. Morgan Mitchell was competing at the time, and she's one of my very close friends. And, I sort of used that as motivation as, okay, I want to be at the next Olympics. How am I going to get there? And I sat down with my team and we had a big conversation. Part of my journey to hopefully get to the Olympics next year was including a move from Brisbane to the Gold Coast. So I just kind of took a risk, moved away from home and started fresh. And yeah, it's really been paying off for me, and hopefully I can continue to run faster.
You talk about risk and sacrifice, and I know that you've also made a big move to the Gold Coast, but it's definitely paid off. You made 2 Australian teams in 1 year, making the Commonwealth Games final and World Champs. Can you talk about your sacrifice, and do you have any regrets?
No, I don't have any regrets at all. I think moving to the Gold Coast wasn't really a sacrifice for me. I personally love the beach and love the lifestyle. So, you know, my training day consists of training in the morning, beach in the middle of the day, going back training, gym in the afternoon, and then going to work. So, yeah, I've got a really, I guess, I love living on the Gold Coast. It's really nice for sprinting, beautiful conditions, nice and hot. So, yeah, it hasn't really been a sacrifice for me, but I guess we do what we do for the sport that we love. So, I guess that comes with being a professional athlete.
Can you talk us through the feeling of making a World Champs and a Commonwealth Games and then making the final in the Commonwealth Games? What was the process like? What were the emotions like? How did you get ready and focused to be on the world stage?
Yeah, well, for me, it was about 3 years since my previous Australian team. So to get the call that I made World Champs and Commonwealth Games was I was so ecstatic and I was so excited, and I just wanted to go out there and do my best. My first Open Championships, I didn't know how I would go, but to make the final, I completely exceeded my expectations, and that's just really motivated me to get back into training and to compete better at the next one. So, yeah, I think it's really flicked a switch for me and really motivated me to, you know, run faster. So,
Rachel
yeah.
talked about how you were an amazing talent. You've got the 1 and the 2 and the 4 under your belt. How have you found the transition to a shorter event? What's the training like?
Yeah, so a lot of people speak about 400 training, that's a lot harder than 100-meter training, but it's completely different training. I mean, 100-meter training is a lot more technical and it's a lot more mentally fatiguing. So I've definitely found that I've spent a lot more time in the gym and a lot more time, you know, going over block starts and working on top end and learning a lot of new things. So for me, it's been really exciting because it's been a completely different training regime as opposed to the 4. Different, and I wouldn't say easier or harder, but yeah, I've really enjoyed the process.
Ella, we were fortunate enough through our connection with Nana to share a cup of tea together a few weeks ago, and you talked so warmly and positively about the impact that you can make on the community and your desire to give back and do something. Tell us a little bit about that thinking, drive, motivation, and what we can expect to see you do in the future.
Yeah, well, I guess as a sprinter, you always want to inspire. Well, my passion outside of sprinting is teaching. I'm studying education at the moment, and tutoring at a school. So I guess my drive in sport also comes through inspiring juniors and the next generation coming through. So I think, it's important to really support those, developing girls and boys in the sport, because that's our future. And yeah.
How are you balancing a Bachelor of Teaching, tutoring and coaching and athletics training?
Yeah, I guess as a professional sprinter, especially living in Australia, sometimes the reality is that most of the time you do have to work, study and train. So a training day for me looks like waking up and training, going to have some lunch, training again, studying in the afternoon, and then working from 5 till 10 at night. So that's a routine that I've got myself into, and it's been working so far.
And Ella, when you are doing your tutoring and mentoring of the students around you at St Hilda's, what advice can you give to them if they are overcoming some adversity or challenges in life, including an injury or a setback? How do you help them find the inner strength to bounce back and continue?
I think for them it's just focusing on their end goal and what they want to achieve, and working out a plan and how they're going to achieve that, and encouraging them that there's going to be tough times. It's not going to be smooth sailing, but they will get through it and they'll be able to achieve what they want to achieve if they want to.
And how do you personally hold yourself accountable? I know that a lot of athletes have vision boards and things like that, or, you know, gold bikinis hanging up in their bedroom. What do you do to stay focused on your dream, and how do you hold yourself accountable?
I can't say I have gold bikinis hanging up in my room, but I definitely like to set small, realistic goals and to achieve my main goals. So instead of focusing on something major, I like to, you know, appreciate the little wins on the way, and yeah, just set small, realistic goals and then hopefully get to my big goal.
Paris is next year, and Ella, you're so talented at so many events. What am I going to be cheering for you? What event? The 1, the 2 or the 4?
Or all three?
Yes, or all three.
All three.
Chuck in a couple relays as well.
I mean, Paris is, like you said, a year away, so who knows what I'll be running then. But I can definitely say, if you were to ask me today, my passion is with the 1 and 2s. I do really think there's a lot of development in those areas and I can run a lot faster. So I want to see, what I can run in those 2 events.
You talk about small goals. What is up for Ella in the next 6 months to a year before the Paris trials?
So there's World Champs at the end of the year. That's a big goal of mine. I would love to qualify for that and get some experience racing overseas. Obviously, I'm limited with experience, and so this year will be a big year on getting some experience running overseas and running against different girls.
I know we've had personal conversations about financial barriers in sport. Can you tell me a bit about how that affects you in the lead up to a major competition?
Yeah, so there is financial barriers in athletics. For me, I like to keep a balanced lifestyle. So for me, in the lead up to Commonwealth Games, I was working 20 to 30-hour weeks to support myself in doing that. It was a major goal of mine. I wanted to be at that stage, and I also wanted to be in the World Champ stage. So for me, that is what I had to do to get on those teams and get in those races and support myself living on the Gold Coast.
Ella, thank you so much for sharing your stories today. I've got a feeling Australia is going to see and hear a lot more from you over the next years, and the Wattle Nest, Nana and I are going to be here following your journey. Before we wrap up though, Nana does have 2 sports trivia questions for you, and let's see how you go.
Ella, I'm going to test you today. So my first question for you is, how many players in a futsal team? So that's indoor soccer.
Indoor soccer. I am going to say indoor soccer. I'm going to say 8.
It's actually 5. It's a bit of a smaller team compared to outdoor soccer. And my final question for you is, how long is an Olympic swimming pool?
An Olympic swimming pool?
Yes.
50 metres.
Bingo! We've done a lot of pool sessions together, so I knew she'd know the answer to that one.
No one's got 2 from 2, so don't worry. But hey, Ella, thank you so much for joining us in studio today. Nana and I have had an absolute ball, and I know that behind the cameras, you and Nana have lots of stories that you haven't shared with us today. So we might have to do that in a different environment to get some real insights. But we wish you the very, very best, and thank you for being here.
No, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on this show.
And Nana, another brilliant session.
No, I loved hearing Ella's story. I mean, I talk to her like 4 times a week, so it's great for everyone else to hear her story.
Good on you, Ella. Thanks, Nana. Well, that does conclude this episode of our For the Glory series. Be sure to tune in next time as we share with you more stories from the sporting world. Thanks, everyone. Until next time.